Hi, I'm Scott Wolf, and I've often heard people say that the pirates in the Pirates of the Caribbean attractions are caricatures of Disney employees. I talked to the people who designed the pirates to find out the answer. In the 1990s, I was working for Disney Software, and one of the producers was working on a Pirates of the Caribbean game based on the Disney park attractions. There were no Pirates of the Caribbean movies yet at that time. He wanted to make the pirates using faces of our employees, and when I asked him why, he told me that because in the ride the pirates are all caricatures of the people who were working for Walt. Well, I was skeptical, and as I often do, I sought out the answers. When I had the chance to meet the artists who worked on the original attraction, I asked them about it and got the answers directly from them. But that producer was not the only person who believed that rumor. For many years, Dave Smith, the chief archivist and founder of the Disney Archives, had an Ask Dave column in magazines and later online where Disney fans could write in with their questions. One person wrote in and asked about the models of the pirates seen in the Pirates of the Caribbean attractions. They wrote, "Knowing the Imagineers have used real-life models for some of the pirates, Sid Caesar comes to mind as one. Do you know if Roy Williams of the Mickey Mouse Club was used as well?" The reality is that neither comic actor Sid Caesar nor Roy Williams were caricatured in the attraction. But for his answer, I was so flattered when Dave referred to me on one of my interviews. I had such great respect for Dave and his incredible knowledge. We also shared the same birthday, so I always got in touch with him on our special day. It meant so much that Dave turned to my interview with Blaine Gibson for the answer. I loved talking with Blaine, who sculpted the beautiful heads of those pirates and so many other wonderful things in the Disney parks. But he did confess to me that Pirates was his most enjoyable experience at Disney. Here's a clip from that interview that Dave Smith referred to, where I specifically asked Blaine if his pirate sculptures were based on the Disney staff. The answer was no, except one. Here's Blaine's response.
Almost all of those are based on real people that were alive at the time I did those. My wife and I would go out to dinner or something, and you never knew when you were going to find a type of character that would be so unique that he would fit in to really complement the characters that we were doing for the pirate. I would get so glued in on a guy like that, I would be staring at him, and my wife would quietly kick me under the table and say, "Blaine, stop staring at that man." And I did it with women, too.
Really?
Because we had women in the pirate ride. In one case where I did one based on a guy at Disney's, he didn't happen to be a character from where I was working. He happened to be a man working outside. And it wasn't that I was knocking or trying to belittle the laborer, because I was a laborer much of my early life.
Oh.
And you don't belittle laborers.
Yeah.
It was because he had the most wonderful face that I'd ever seen. And when I did him, George Snowden said, "Blaine, you better be careful with that one. It looks exactly like him." Well, it's more exaggerated, but when you look at it, you think, well, yes, it looks like him, but in a good, exaggerated character. But I didn't really change it, and he did turn out to be an interesting character.
I want to share this fantastic publication with you. It's a souvenir book from 1974 called Pirates of the Caribbean, the story of the robust adventure in Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and it has some of the most wonderful photos in it. Here's Blaine at the top of this page working on one of the miniature maquettes that they always started with before doing the full-size figures. And down below, Blaine is with some of the pirate heads that he sculpted. On the next page, here's a picture of Blaine with another sculptor, George Snowden, in the middle and Marc Davis at the right. Marc was an incredible artist that I also got to know. He designed the scenes and characters on paper before they were brought to life in 3 dimensions. You know, Marc's wife Alice also worked on pirates, and there's a picture of her in this book. She did all the costumes for the attraction. And above her is Leota Toombs adding the details to one of the pirate faces. Leota's face appears in a crystal ball as Madame Leota in the Haunted Mansion attractions. Marc did that artwork that you see there. In fact, all the artwork in this book are Marc's concept art for Pirates of the Caribbean. I was such a big fan of his long before we became friends. Look at the many styles of art that he could do. It's no wonder Walt was so fond of him. These are some of Marc's earliest pieces of concept artwork for pirates, and they are based on real pirates. You can see this artwork faithfully reproduced on the walls while you're waiting in line to board the ride in Disneyland. Here's some photos I took of that. A few years ago, I was visiting Alice. Marc had passed away by this time, and Alice pulled out a scrapbook to show me, and there were some of Marc's very early work for pirates that I had never seen before. She let me take a picture of some of them. Look at this one. Look at how simple it is. And yet with those few lines of ink, Marc managed to express such detail and humor. Isn't that just wonderful? I want you to hear some audio of a conversation I had with Marc, but with a quick disclaimer that it's awful quality. It's from 1997, and it was a horrible tape recorder. It made a terrible squeak, but I was just getting Marc's story for my own reference. It wasn't even a thought that I might play it for people to hear one day. Well, just like with Blaine, I specifically asked Marc, did you base those pirates' faces on real people? And his answer, like Blaine, was no, except for one. Listen to this.
Not really. There's one character that's down near the end of the ride where they're in jail. They're trying to get the key from the dog. And the guy in the middle was the janitor at what we called WIT at that time.
Here's another audio clip from my conversation with Blaine, where he told me about Walt's expectations for his characters.
The thing that Walt wanted me to do was to get them to be interesting characters. They didn't have to be totally realistic, but when you did them, they had to be some type of character that was based somewhat on realism. The redhead was not a very big problem because I just tried to do a sort of a not an over-sexy. Walt came in, he said, Blaine, I don't get this over-sexy. When I was designing the form, and I chose to do it just kind of a hefty, pretty girl, and Walt came by and he says, don't get that too sexy, Blaine. He did it with sort of a grin. So really? I guess he approved of what we did.
It's a fascinating blend of very human and yet caricature.
That's exactly right. Well, it was fun for me to do it, but Walt's idea was, keep them believable, Blaine. Keep them believable.
You can see that the rumors about all the pirates being based on caricatures of the Disney staff don't really have any truth to them. You know, I feel so fortunate to have known people who worked on such classic attractions like Pirates of the Caribbean. And if I had a question like about the pirates being based on real people, I could just go to the sources, the people who designed them, and so often record our conversations. I loved hearing their stories, and it's an honor to be able to preserve them and pass them on to you. Thank you for caring and for watching.